what we're going to do is tell you a bit. There's kind of a we're doing stacking functions here. We've got this first half hour or so is to introduce a new project that Ankasan is going to be developing. I'm going to get Michael to talk through that in just a moment. But this is ahead of a seminar that is related to the project, which is why we piggyback the two things together, because the seminar is talking about its seminar supported by the National Forum for the Enhancement of Teaching and Learning in Higher Education. And that's in partnership with IT Carlo. And our seminar that will go on just after this launch event is on social action models for teaching and learning for social enterprise development. And that is going to explore relationships between social enterprise and social change and look at the implications for teaching and learning in different contexts and opportunities for social enterprise education. So hopefully you'll see the relationship between that and the Irish Aid supported project. Michael, there's the title of it. Do you want to take over? And I'll go to the next slide after you.
Sure. Yeah, thanks very much, Susie, and lovely to meet you all. Well, yeah, so we're delighted to be doing the two things, of course, launching our project, and we've given it the name. I hope it's catchy enough to recognize and revitalize. So it's trying to do development education in accessible higher education. So that's our project. We're starting today. We're going to run until about October or so. So the purpose of the project, I suppose, is basically taking the courses that we do. So we're running courses in higher education, in social enterprise, community development and leadership. And we're trying now for the first time to bring in that broader global dimension and to explore those themes. And that's at the heart of development education. Look at the local and look at the global and see what's there in common and learn from each other. And the reason why is we have learners, students from all kinds of different contexts, different cultures, different countries. Put them together and learn from each other about social enterprise, and that'll really enrich the learning. So that's really at the heart of this project. So we'll be looking at specific themes, social enterprise in particular, how people can gain skills, get jobs, create their own, find employment, and learn how that's been done in different contexts.
Great, thanks for that, Michael. And so the method that is going to be taken in the project is to create opportunities to listen to learner and tutor experiences, both within Ankasan and from what the wider sector as well. So the main things to tell you about that are going to be happening are 4 workshops for learners. So asking learners that are interested to sign up for all 4 workshops, and there are learners who might have had an expressed interest or are trying to engage in social innovation or social enterprise, but are experiencing barriers due to disadvantage to entering that sector. But also who are then empowered to reflect and think critically about their own lived experiences. And as Michael said, we know already that there are learners within Ankasan and in the wider social innovation sector in that come from the global south. So we've got the distinct advantage really of being able to have very broad and diverse lived experiences to drill deeply into in these 4 workshops and explore the existing inequalities for disadvantaged learners that are attempting to enter this sector here in Ireland, but also, as Michael says, the deeper causes and the global perspectives of the experience and the potential of all of that to help address inequality. Michael, is there anything else you want to add to that before I go to the next one?
No, that's fine. Thanks, Susie.
Okay. And then to integrate this both within Ankasan and, as I said, in the wider sector, we also are having 2 participatory online seminar events for community educators. and for people who are trying to work in organizations that support access to higher education. The seminars are going to hopefully then take the learning from the learners that we've been working with in the previous workshops, and the tutor experiences as well within Ankusan, and those working with those specific development education themes that emerge from these social innovation workshops, and the focus then on how to improve access to development education in higher education, and how to empower those harder to reach learners to take positive actions themselves in equality. And you'll see, as I said, the seminar that's coming right after this launch event is really going to pick up on that theme with our speakers, Sheila Cannon from Trinity's Social Innovation program, and Rosemary Cuneen, who's a past learner of Ankusan and a social entrepreneur in her own right, and working to create Dignity Partnership, which is addressing access to employment and skills for asylum seekers and refugees. So we will very much be picking up on that in the next seminar. But this will be towards the latter part of the project, is kind of gathering again together with community educators and sharing our own experience and community of practice around these themes. So that's basically it. I will put up a slide really at the end about, getting in touch with members of staff at Ankusan to find out more, Michael. I put your email up there, and also Maria, who works with learner recruitment and so on. But I'll stop sharing screen now and just go back and see a little bit of who we have in the room, and where your interest lies in social innovation, social entrepreneurship, and accessing that for education, or accessing that for marginal learners, and see if there's any questions. So either you can drop questions into the chat for us, and the other, or you can signal with your hand up if you know how to do that, with the little reactions bottom down at the bottom of Zoom. Along the bottom you should see a reactions button. You can put your hand up, or you can, if you've got your mic on, you can wave at us and I'll try and see your hand. Has anybody got any questions or comments? You might be working in related areas, or you might have any other questions and comments. So I'm thinking
Could
of,
I just say
go ahead, Derek. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I suppose just to share our experience in Carmichael, for those of you who don't know us, Carmichael provides a range of supports for community organizations and social enterprises. We have always kind of defined ourselves very much as working out of two buildings in the North Inner City, Carmichael House and Coleraine House. Now we've gone virtual like the rest of the world. We were providing quite a lot of supports for social enterprise through the community support schemes and community employment. And those supports went online very swiftly last year. So we were doing mentoring and training around the country that just gravitated to an online presence and worked very successfully for us. So the access, as far as access is concerned, that wasn't such a problem for us, because it was through their funding organizations that those organizations came to us. So it was actually very easy for us to find the organizations we were going to work with and for them to find us. So that wasn't such a big issue. That's where we're coming from.
Yeah, great, Derek. And I think it is certainly something that we're very aware of. The digital access allows access to different learners than might have been able to access education or training in the past. But I think it's also, we're very conscious of the digital divide and, the issues that come up for people who don't have access. And, I think the statistics of that are pretty revealing, actually. So yeah, really good to hear that Carmichael's supports to social enterprise were able to pivot and continue to roll out. I was just going to ask Sue there, I saw, who's been involved in recruitment of learners for the Musika program in Ankasan, and I was wondering, you know, had you any thoughts about learners who might have wanted to get engaged with social innovation or social enterprise that you're in touch with, and the kinds of barriers that you already might be able to signal that the difference between maybe yeah, different. This is again the theme we'll pick up on in the seminar.
Yeah, usually our learners are kind of just before that point where it might be an ambition for the future, but it would be really helpful for the ones that have an interest to have information about any supports that are available nationally or locally, because I know certainly some of them would definitely have an ambition to be enterprising, maybe not all social, but certainly to be enterprising and to support themselves through self-employment. So yeah, all information would be great.
Great. And it would be great to have them participate, hopefully, in some of those, in the workshops that I'm talking about, because we really believe that it's the learners themselves who can best tell us about their own lived experiences, and that
Absolutely.
will help inform programs and the direction really of further education and accredited and training and so on.
Yeah,
so it's really
absolutely.
big going in with the listening. Yeah, great. Thanks for that, Sue. Anyone else got related thoughts or questions or experiences? I'm wondering if there are any development educators or global citizenship educators on this part of the call before the seminar that comes up next. That's a really interesting one, Mary. I think that's something that I'm going to be touching on very briefly in the seminar later, but I think it's a really interesting point. Mary says in the chat that she'd like to encourage the social enterprise employees, and they're probably employees in the kinds of social enterprises that Derek's supporting from Carmichael, to upskill themselves, like maybe to be aware they are working in social enterprises, but they're reluctant to commit to anything long term. So that's an interesting barrier to skills and competency development or education development, and that they have also anxiety there. You're saying about literacy or tech skills, like the digital divide we were talking about. And you've spoken to the ETB about your need for a type of short course that would suit, so that kind of access education or unaccredited perhaps start off, you know, rather than big commitments might be of use. But yeah, absolutely. I've kind of identified something similar through conversations with employees in social enterprises in the community employment type of social enterprise. Yeah, thanks for that comment, Mary. Anyone else?
I guess I'm just thinking about our current incubator. Sorry, I'm Bridget from Social Impact Ireland. Just thinking about our current incubator and the advent of the online delivery as opposed to, you know, the in-room. And our most current incubator, we're always inclusive, of course, and we welcome diversity across the board. But it's our first time having people, a group with intellectual disability, sign up and join our incubator. And it has been an absolute pleasure, really. You know, the accessibility piece, I wouldn't imagine that we would have them on board. They're based in Cork. We wouldn't have them on board except for the fact that we're delivering it online, you know, and the advent of internet, you know, is widely known as being, you know, a turning point for people with, you know, different intellectual or neurodiverse presentations. So I suppose from what you've said, Susie, and just reflecting on what the conversation has been so far, that's the one thing that jumps out at me, is that opportunity for everybody who wants to engage, notwithstanding obviously that there are barriers, you know.
Yeah, and I think, Brita, what's particularly interesting there is that accidental discovery of an exclusion, you know, that then becomes an inclusion. And it is that, so as we reach out, as we find out and get to speak to learners like the group that you're talking about, we would then be able to, you know, do even better, because we'd say, well, what were the factors that meant that you weren't going to go forward to a social enterprise incubation program like your own one? You know, so that's a really interesting example. Thanks for that. And I see Rena, who's doing a BA Honours in Social Enterprise Leadership and Management, and her research is in what are the additional supports adult learners now require to transition to online art learning. So yeah, you can see where that would weave into this conversation as well. Certainly if you come across learners that you think would be good to you know, who'd also be interested in these big global perspectives on those barriers, because we know that digital connection, for example, across the world is very uneven, and in Ireland it's extremely uneven as well. And then, yeah, you're interested in Mary's comment too. Does anybody else want to come on? We've got a few more minutes on this part of the call, talking about the global perspectives and the development education aspect of social innovation and lessons we might learn. I think that one of the ones that comes to mind a lot for me is the rural remoteness in Ireland, and how that parallels remote areas in the global south and access to information, digital or otherwise. But has anybody else got a related thought or comment?
Hi, Brendan Mullery from Irish Rural Link. Just to say, I'm with UCC on their MSc in social enterprise, and one of their kind of optional modules is the development education aspect. So they have a particular interest in that connection as well between social enterprise here and elsewhere, I guess.
Have you done that module yet, Brendan?
No, it wasn't actually. It was a very small class, and it didn't run in my year. But it runs. It's there as an offering, and I know it's something they do. You know, they have a very deep interest in that area. Anyway, the whole sort of department. So I think anyone, you know, they're worth contacting or talking to about this sort of stuff.
Well, one of our speakers in the seminar that's coming up, Rosie, is currently on that master's, having come through her degree path in accessible education through ANCSON, and as I said, starting up a social enterprise. She's currently on that master's, so I'll be interested to. We'll get probably some of that perspective very soon.
Hi, Rosie. I haven't. You're a year behind me, I think. Maybe. Yeah.
I'm not sure if she's yet on the call, because she's starting the second seminar starts in just about 9 minutes. So you'll see her shortly though. But yeah, I think that's interesting that they've chosen to make that juxtaposition, Brendan. And it'll also reflect on some of the conversation we're going to talk about, that cross-fertilization or interdepartmental need and niches for social enterprise education, because it tends to be quite polarized between business schools and social science schools, and figuring out how to be more interconnected, I think, is part of the conversation. Great, thanks for that perspective. We'll take a couple more comments now, and then we might allow you stretch while we have 100 people signed up across the two events, so there'll be a big flurry of admitting people from waiting room in a few minutes. So, but we've got, for this smaller group, we've got a couple more minutes for comments, and the conversation already has been very rich and giving some nice diverse perspectives, I think, for helping inform this project.
Could I just add, Susie, that during the course of the next 6 or 7 months, I think we'll also be identifying some resources and maybe producing some. So we try to make sure that they get to you, that you can use them for any of your own use or for your education or group work, you know. So that's part of the project as well, in addition to the workshops and seminars.
Great. Thanks for that, Michael. Absolutely. The output from this should be able to be shared and developed across interested people in the sector. Marie, I'm not quite sure what I see the question or the comment in that. Do you want to come on the mic and just say a little more? And hello, Marie, I haven't spoken to you for a while.
Hi, Susie, and hi, everybody. Yeah, pleasure to be here today and to see, yes, it's a lovely diverse group, actually, very interesting as always. from Onkasan and yourself, Susie. I suppose it's just, I'm kind of come at this space from a few different angles. I'm the Skills Development Senior Manager in the Wheel. So I suppose our interest is kind of broadly across the sector, and the work that we do in my team is kind of around skills development for workers right across the sector, and supporting organizations to support their workers. So that's one aspect that's obviously of interest. But then I do have a kind of a personal interest in that, and kind of curiosity about that connection between the development education and this space in social enterprise. I just think it's a really interesting, rich theme. And I suppose, having attended one or two IDEA events in recent times, I think there's this huge crossover, and it's really great to see a project that's going to kind of make those links. Yeah, I just think it's interesting to have heard from people here that, Mary's comment in the chat was interesting about, how to, I suppose, support and encourage, our diverse workforce to get involved in training and lifelong learning. So I suppose kind of always interested in any conversation that kind of, I suppose, suggests routes forward for that. So yeah, I'm kind of more in listening mode here, because I think
that's great.
It's a good conversation.
That's great. It's great. Thank you. And I think that you've pinned exactly the intersection that we thought. I liked the phrase you used, that it's a rich theme to explore what is the intersection between development education, global citizenship education, and social innovation and social enterprise. And it is it's like a lot of things, it begins with these conversations, and through that we start seeing where is the richness, why is that a rich theme. I just see another person I know coming on the call, Joanne Butler, who I know is up with Donegal Changemakers, and you might see that theme too as a social enterprise development person yourself, and past Ankasan learner as well, Joanne, and now working in global citizenship education. Would you see the overlaps in the themes between social enterprise and social innovation?
Yeah, for sure. And apologies, I was late. I thought it was 10:30.
That's okay. That's confusing, because there is a seminar starting at 10:30 that is going to deepen these topics with 3 speakers.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Of course, I see the overlaps, and I'm kind of like very interested in both, and have been for quite a long time. A lot of what we do is got social themes behind it and threaded through it at all points. So it's very interesting to learn and continue to learn about everything. So, but I am just coming into the call, so I'm not late.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. Thanks, Joanne. So look, folks, what we're going to do is, you'll see now, I think probably the people coming for the seminar will be landing in. So you can continue to stay on as you are, but if anyone needs to step away for 5 minutes and have any bio needs you need to attend to, if you didn't manage to get your coffee or take a bathroom break, we'll get going again at just a few minutes past 1/2 but the way it takes a wee while for everyone to land in, and all those wee dots to stop going, and everyone to get on their mics.